Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Mystery Channel. Tonight, we'll be exploring the strange world of psychic phenomena, a place where thoughts travel between minds and people claim to know the impossible. They sense events before they happen and have dreams that seem to predict the future with surprising clarity. For generations, researchers, governments, mediums, and ordinary families have all wondered whether the mind has hidden abilities. Some stories may just be coincidences. Some may come from memory, belief, or suggestion. Yet others are simply too strange to be described by normal explanations. What happens when a person knows things they shouldn't? What are we meant to think when a dream predicts the future? And why do certain stories of telepathy, premonition, and strange perception keep returning? Tonight, we'll uncover these mysteries with care, curiosity, and close attention, and explore the possibilities of what's really going on. If you enjoy these curious journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is settle in. Let your shoulders relax and notice your eyes grow heavy. And as the day begins to gently fade away, join me as we explore this mysterious world together. Let's begin. Remote viewers claimed they could describe places they had never seen. In these experiments, a person might sit in a plain room with a blank sheet of paper, while someone else selected a distant target. The target could be a building, a landscape, or a hidden site sealed away from ordinary knowledge. The viewer would then describe impressions, shapes, textures, and sometimes surprising details. Many attempts produced confusion, but a few reports seemed too close for comfort. That is what made the subject so irresistible. The method sounded impossible, yet it was treated seriously enough to attract military attention during the Cold War. Some people believed the mind could stretch beyond the body and gather information from anywhere on Earth. Others argued that the successes came from chance, judging bias, or accidental clues. Still, the central image remains powerful. A person closes their eyes, reaches across distance, and finds something waiting there. Dreams have warned people about disasters before the news arrived. Few psychic claims feel more unsettling than the dream that seems to arrive too early. Someone sees a crash, a flood, or a building in danger, then wakes with a feeling that will not leave. Later, when the event appears in the world, the memory of the dream becomes impossible to treat as ordinary sleep. The difficulty is that dreams are strange by nature. They mix fear, memory, and imagination in ways that can later seem meaningful. Yet some reports include details that were told to friends, written in diaries, or sent to officials before anything happened. These are the cases that keep people talking. Maybe dreams sometimes process hidden clues from waking life. Maybe the sleeping mind can notice coming danger before the conscious mind accepts it. Or maybe, in sleep, the border between now and not yet becomes unusually thin. Telepathy experiments suggest thoughts may travel without ordinary signals. The idea is simple enough to understand and difficult enough to shake. One person tries to send an image, word, or feeling, while another person tries to receive it without sound, sight, or touch. Most results look random. Then, every so often, the receiver describes something close enough to raise eyebrows. A circle becomes a sun. A staircase becomes a tower. A feeling of water becomes the picture of a boat. Critics say these matches can be stretched after the fact, especially when the target is broad. Believers say the signal may be weak, emotional, and symbolic rather than exact. What makes the subject so compelling is how personal it feels. Almost everyone has thought of someone just before a message arrives. Maybe it is coincidence. Maybe it is pattern recognition. Or maybe human connection has a hidden channel we have not learned how to measure. The Gansfeld tests produced results that still divide researchers today. In this unusual setup, a receiver rests in a relaxed state, while ordinary sensory input is reduced. Their eyes may be covered with soft red light, and their ears may hear steady sound. Somewhere else, a sender focuses on a chosen image or video. The receiver speaks whatever comes to mind. Later, those impressions are compared with possible targets. Supporters argue that the method creates a space where faint psychic information can rise above normal mental noise. They point to studies where the correct target was chosen more often than chance would predict. Critics question the judging, the statistics, and the danger of tiny flaws changing the result. The debate has lasted because the experiment sits in a strange middle ground. It is not a wild campfire story. It is not settled science either. It is a controlled doorway into a very uncomfortable possibility. Government psychic programs quietly studied mind power for decades. During the Cold War, strange ideas sometimes became practical questions. If an enemy nation was exploring psychic perception, could any government afford to ignore it? That fear helped turn the impossible into a classified research interest. Programs were created to test whether gifted individuals could gather information from sealed rooms, distant bases, and hidden targets. The work sounded like fiction, yet it involved real offices, real funding, and real analysts who wanted results. Some sessions produced descriptions that supporters believed were useful. Other sessions failed badly or gave information too vague to act upon. The official conclusion did not end the fascination. It only deepened it. Why study the subject for so long if there was nothing there at all? Skeptics answer that governments often chase unlikely tools during tense times. Others wonder whether the most interesting results were never meant to be fully explained. Mediums have delivered details families believed nobody else could know. A grieving person sits across from a stranger and hears a name, a phrase, or a private memory. In that moment, the room can feel changed. The claim is not simply that comfort has been offered. The claim is that information has arrived from somewhere beyond ordinary conversation. This is why mediumship has remained so powerful for so long. The best-known readings often include small personal details rather than grand statements. A nickname, an object, or a familiar habit can matter more than any dramatic message. Skeptics point to cold reading, careful observation, and the human need to find meaning during loss. Those explanations can account for many performances. Yet some families insist the information was too specific, too unexpected, and too emotionally exact. The mystery lives in that narrow space between skillful human perception and the possibility that personality may somehow continue. Children sometimes describe past lives with unsettlingly specific memories. A young child begins talking about another home, another family, or a death that seems to belong to someone else. At first, adults may treat it as imagination. Then the child gives a name, a place, or a detail that appears to match a real person who lived before. These cases are especially fascinating because very young children are not usually trying to build elaborate belief systems. They speak plainly, often with emotion that seems older than their years. Investigators have collected accounts where children recognized locations, described former relatives, or showed unusual fears connected to the claimed memory. Skeptics suggest family influence, overheard information, cultural expectation, or coincidence. Believers see evidence that consciousness may return in a new body. Even when no final proof appears, the stories raise a deep question. What if memory is not always locked inside one lifetime? Laboratory dice tests hinted that intention might influence chance itself. Imagine a person staring at dice, and trying to make certain numbers appear more often than probability allows. It sounds almost too small to matter, yet that simplicity is exactly what made the tests intriguing. If the mind could nudge randomness, even slightly, then the world would be less mechanical than it appears. Early researchers rolled dice again and again, looking for patterns that rose above chance. Some reported results that seemed meaningful over many trials. Critics argued that poor controls, uneven dice, recording errors, or selective reporting could create the illusion of psychic force. Still, the basic question refused to disappear. What if intention does not move objects like a movie power, but instead tilts uncertainty at the tiniest edge? That would be harder to notice, harder to prove, and far stranger. It would mean thought and probability may touch in hidden ways. Near-death experiences often include knowledge the person could not witness. Some people who come close to death later describe leaving the body and observing the room from above. The most challenging accounts are not the tunnels or the meetings with familiar figures. They are the reports of details the person should not have been able to perceive. A tool on a tray, a conversation in a hallway, or an action taken while the body seemed unconscious can become the center of the mystery. Medical explanations focus on oxygen changes, memory construction, medication effects, and the brain under extreme stress. Those ideas are serious and often useful. Yet a small number of cases continue to bother researchers because the reported information appears accurate and oddly placed. If even one such account were exactly what it seems, it would raise enormous questions. Perhaps consciousness is created by the brain, or perhaps the brain is only its local receiver. The Stargate project treated psychic spying as a serious intelligence tool. This program has become legendary because it brings together two worlds that rarely seem to belong in the same sentence. One is secret intelligence work. The other is psychic perception. For years, selected viewers were asked to describe foreign locations, hidden objects, and matters of possible national security. Their sessions were recorded, analyzed, and debated by people who wanted useful information rather than entertainment. Supporters believed certain viewers produced results that could not be dismissed as guessing. Critics argued that vague impressions can look impressive after analysts search for matches. The official story says the program ended because the intelligence value was not reliable enough. Yet the existence of the effort still feels astonishing. It means trained officials were willing to ask whether the mind could cross borders without satellites or agents. Even failure would be interesting. Serious attention alone made the mystery larger. Ingo Swann described distant locations with details investigators could check. Among remote viewing figures, this artist and psychic became one of the most discussed because his claims were not limited to vague impressions. He described targets as though information could arrive in flashes. Shapes, structures, movement, and sometimes unexpected physical features appeared in his reports. Some stories connected him to experiments involving hidden locations and even distant planets, which gave his reputation an almost science fiction quality. Supporters considered him a rare talent who helped develop a more structured method for psychic perception. Skeptics saw a mixture of broad language, later interpretation, and stories that grew more dramatic with retelling. What makes him difficult to forget is the seriousness surrounding him. He was not only performing for crowds. He worked with researchers and intelligence-connected projects. That gives the mystery a strange weight. Was he unusually intuitive, unusually lucky, or briefly touching a real unknown faculty? Pat Price startled officials with claims about hidden Soviet facilities. This former police commissioner became one of the most famous remote viewers because his reports sometimes seemed far too bold to ignore. He was asked to describe secret locations, and he produced impressions of installations, equipment, and activity that supporters believed had intelligence value. The stories around him are especially striking because he did not fit the stereotype of a stage mystic. He came from a practical background, which made his claims feel even stranger. Some accounts suggest he described sensitive sights with details that analysts later found notable. Skeptics warn that these stories are difficult to verify cleanly, especially when secrecy surrounds the original material. They also note that impressive-sounding descriptions can be selected from a larger pile of misses. Even so, his role in psychic spine lore remains powerful. He represents the possibility that ordinary-looking people may sometimes access extraordinary information under controlled pressure. Uri Geller made spoon-bending famous around the world. In the 1970s, television audiences watched a performer hold cutlery, concentrate, and appear to make metal soften in his hands. The image was unforgettable because it turned psychic power into something simple and visible. No hidden temple, no complicated ritual. Just a spoon, a stare, and a claim that the mind could affect matter. Children tried it at home. Adults argued about it at work. Scientists, magicians, and journalists all became involved in the debate. Supporters believed the bending showed psychokinesis in action. Skeptics pointed to misdirection, prepared objects, and the long tradition of stage magic. The controversy did not weaken the public fascination. It made it stronger. The question became larger than one performer. If metal could seem to yield under attention, what else might consciousness influence? The mystery survives because the demonstration was so easy to understand and so difficult to forget. Edgar Cayce gave trance readings that followers still study closely. Known to many as the sleeping prophet, he entered altered states and answered questions while apparently unaware of what he was saying. People came seeking guidance about health, personal troubles, ancient history, and spiritual meaning. The range of his readings helped create a devoted following that has lasted long after his death. Some claims appeared deeply unusual, especially those involving medical suggestions made without conventional examination. Supporters believe he accessed a universal record of information, sometimes called the Akashic Records. Skeptics argue that his success stories are often repeated more than his failures, and that interpretation can become generous when people want hope. Yet his influence remains remarkable. He was not simply a fortune teller making quick predictions. He left thousands of recorded readings, which gives believers and critics a large archive to examine. His life raises a compelling question. Can a sleeping mind reach knowledge the waking mind cannot find? The Society for Psychical Research investigated strange claims with unusual seriousness. Founded in Britain during the Victorian Age, this organization approached ghosts, telepathy, apparitions, and mediumship with a style that felt surprisingly careful for such strange subjects. Its members included scholars, philosophers, and scientists who believed the claims deserved study rather than instant ridicule. That mattered because it gave psychic phenomena a more disciplined public stage. Instead of treating every story as either sacred truth or foolish nonsense, investigators collected testimony, checked timelines, and looked for patterns. Many cases collapsed under scrutiny. Others remained puzzling enough to keep discussion alive. The Society also showed how difficult this field can be. Human memory is delicate. Witnesses can be sincere and still mistaken. Fraud exists. Yet dismissing every account too quickly can also close the door before the most interesting evidence is understood. Its legacy is the idea that wonder and caution can sit at the same table. J.B. Rhine turned psychic testing into a laboratory pursuit. At Duke University, this researcher helped move extrasensory perception away from parlors and into controlled experiments. His approach focused on repeatable tests, recorded results, and statistical analysis. That shift changed the conversation. Instead of asking whether one dramatic story felt convincing, he asked whether many small trials could reveal a hidden pattern. Participants guessed symbols, attempted to identify unseen cards, and tried to score above chance in ways that could be counted. Supporters believed his work suggested real psychic ability, even if it was subtle and inconsistent. Critics questioned the methods, the safeguards, and the difficulty of repeating the results elsewhere. The controversy became part of the field's identity. Psychic claims were no longer only ghost stories or spiritual messages. They were also numbers on paper, produced under rules. That made the mystery less theatrical, but in some ways more unsettling. Could the impossible appear as a small statistical whisper? Zener cards became the classic symbol of controlled mind reading. The deck used simple symbols such as a circle, a cross, and wavy lines. That plain design made the experiment easy to explain. One person looked at a card, while another tried to identify it without seeing it. The simplicity was also the trap. If the receiver scored far above chance, the result looked hard to ignore. If the score was ordinary, the claim vanished into randomness. These cards became famous because they turned telepathy into something anyone could imagine testing at a kitchen table. Yet proper controls mattered enormously. A tiny reflection, a subtle mark, or an unconscious signal could ruin the result. Some early tests were criticized for weaknesses like these. Still, the cards remain iconic because they capture the dream of a clean answer. No seance room, no dramatic performance, just a hidden symbol and the possibility that one mind can touch another. Poltergeist cases sometimes seem to follow troubled young people. In many reports, the activity centers around a child or teenager rather than a building alone. Objects move, knocks occur, and ordinary rooms become scenes of repeated disturbance. The pattern has led to one of the strangest ideas in paranormal research. Perhaps some hauntings are not spirits at all. Perhaps they are unconscious bursts of human energy produced during emotional stress. This theory does not make the cases less mysterious. It may make them more personal. The young person at the center often appears frightened rather than powerful. Families may feel embarrassed, confused, or desperate for normal life to return. Skeptics point out that trickery can happen, especially in tense homes where attention becomes part of the story. Believers answer that some events have been witnessed by outsiders and seem difficult to fake. The mystery asks whether the mind can disturb the physical world without meaning to do so. Apparitions have appeared to loved ones at the moment of death. Across many accounts, a person sees someone familiar, only to learn later that the person died around the same time. These experiences are called crisis apparitions, and they have been reported for generations. What makes them so powerful is the timing. The visitor may appear calm, urgent, or simply present for a brief moment before vanishing. Sometimes the witness does not even know the loved one was ill or in danger. Skeptics suggest coincidence, grief-shaped memory, or dreams later mistaken for waking events. Those explanations can fit many cases. Yet the most puzzling stories involve multiple witnesses or records made before the news arrived. For believers, the apparition is a farewell that crosses ordinary distance. For others, it may be the living mind receiving a signal during an emotional crisis. Either way, the stories suggest that human connection may not always obey the limits we expect. Crisis visions suggest emotion may cross distance in extreme moments. One of the most haunting patterns in psychic reports is the sudden feeling that someone far away is in trouble. A mother wakes with a sharp certainty that her child needs help. A friend feels a wave of panic at the exact hour another person faces danger. Later, the timing appears to match in a way that feels difficult to dismiss. These accounts are not always visual. Sometimes they arrive as pressure in the chest, a strong urge to make a call, or a sudden knowledge that something has changed. Skeptics point to coincidence and the way intense events make memories feel more precise after the fact. Yet many people insist the feeling came first, before any message or ordinary clue. The possibility is striking. Perhaps deep attachment creates a signal during moments of stress. Or perhaps the mind notices a hidden bond that ordinary language has never fully described. Premonitions often arrive as small feelings before major events unfold. The strangest warnings are not always dramatic. They can begin as a simple hesitation at the door, a sudden dislike of a journey, or a feeling that today should not proceed as planned. Many people describe these moments as ordinary intuition until something later gives them weight. A missed train avoids an accident. A changed appointment prevents a meeting that would have gone badly. A person ignores a warning and then remembers it with regret. The mystery is difficult because life produces countless vague feelings that lead nowhere. Most are forgotten. A few become legendary because events line up afterward. Yet there are cases where someone acted on the feeling before anything happened, and that is where curiosity grows. Maybe the body senses subtle risks before the thinking mind can explain them. Maybe the future leaves tiny pressures on the present. Either way, the smallest feeling can become unforgettable. Déjà vu sometimes feels less like memory and more like warming. Most people know the sensation. A room feels familiar, a sentence seems already spoken, and for a few seconds, life appears to repeat itself. Science often treats this as a memory glitch, and that explanation may fit many experiences. Yet some people describe a stronger version. They feel not only that the moment has happened before, but that they know what should happen next. A person may anticipate a line of conversation, a phone call, or a sudden interruption. The prediction is usually brief, but the emotional force can be remarkable. Some believe this points to dreams being remembered at the moment they come true. Others think the mind is comparing the present to hidden patterns too quickly for conscious thought. A more fringe idea suggests time is not a straight road at all. In that view, déjà vu might be a small overlap between versions of the same moment. Twin telepathy stories keep returning across families and cultures. Twins have often reported strange moments of shared awareness. One feels pain when the other is injured. One becomes anxious for no clear reason, then learns the other was in distress. Some twins say they can sense moods before a word is spoken, even when separated by long distance. Skeptics usually explain this through deep familiarity. Twins may know each other's habits so well that ordinary prediction feels supernatural. They may also remember the strongest matches and forget the many times no signal appeared. Even so, the stories persist because the bond seems unusually intense. Some accounts involve twins raised apart who still report similar feelings or choices. That raises the question of whether shared biology, shared early experience, or something stranger is at work. Perhaps twin connection is simply human closeness amplified. Or perhaps it reveals a form of mind-to-mind contact that appears most clearly in paired lives. Animal owners report pets sensing their return before anyone hears them. A dog rises from sleep and waits by the door. A cat moves to the window. Minutes later, the owner arrives, sometimes at an unusual time. These stories are common enough to feel familiar, yet strange enough to keep the debate alive. Ordinary explanations can be strong. Animals may hear a specific engine, smell a familiar scent, or respond to household routines without humans noticing. But some reports claim the pet reacted before any normal cue seemed possible, and on days when the return time was not predictable. That is where the mystery becomes more interesting. Certain researchers have tested pets by changing travel routes, arrival times, and vehicles. The results remain debated, but the idea has a powerful pull. If animals are sensitive to signals humans ignore, perhaps they are reading the world more finely than we can. Or perhaps attachment itself has a signal that travels home ahead of the person. Dream telepathy experiments tried sending images into sleeping minds. The plan sounded simple, but the implication was enormous. A sleeping person would dream in one room, while another person focused on an image somewhere else. In the morning, the dream report would be compared with the target. Sometimes the matches seemed loose. Sometimes they were striking enough to make people wonder whether sleep opened a hidden receiving state. A person might dream of birds when the target showed wings, or describe a crowded street when the sender was studying a busy city scene. Critics argued that dream material is flexible, and almost any dream can be matched to something if people search hard enough. Supporters answered that some comparisons were judged under controlled conditions. What makes these experiments fascinating is the role of sleep itself. The waking mind is busy and guarded. The dreaming mind may be more open, more symbolic, and perhaps more willing to receive impressions that ordinary awareness would reject. The Maimonides Dream Laboratory produced results many still debate. In Brooklyn, researchers created one of the most famous settings for studying psychic dreaming. The participants slept under observation, while a sender focused on selected artwork or imagery in another room. The dreamer was awakened during rapid eye movement sleep and asked to describe what had just appeared. This design gave the research a dramatic quality. It was not just someone remembering a dream after breakfast. It was a timed attempt to catch the dream while it was still fresh. Supporters saw meaningful correspondences between targets and dream reports. Critics later questioned whether the methods were strong enough and whether later laboratories could reproduce the same promise. The controversy has never fully lost its charge. The work suggested that dreams might not be sealed inside one's skull. Instead, they might act like a strange night receiver, collecting fragments from a mind nearby or from some deeper field that no instrument has yet mapped. Psychic archaeology has claimed impressions from ancient sites and lost objects. Some investigators have brought sensitives to ruins, burial grounds, and old buildings, hoping they might receive information beyond the visible evidence. The psychic might touch a stone wall and describe a ceremony, a conflict, or a forgotten room. At times, these impressions are broad enough to sound like storytelling. In other cases, supporters claim the details pointed toward discoveries or matched records found later. Archaeologists usually treat such claims with caution because imagination can easily fill gaps in the past. Old places invite strong feelings, and the mind naturally builds scenes around them. Yet the idea remains deeply compelling. What if history leaves traces that are not written in ink or carved in stone? What if certain people can sense emotional residue from events that happened long ago? Psychic archaeology sits at the edge of evidence and intuition, asking whether the past can sometimes be felt before it is found. Dowsers insist hidden water can be felt through subtle signals. A person walks across land holding a forked branch or metal rods. At one spot, the branch dips or the rods cross. The claim is that underground water has been detected without drilling, maps, or instruments. For centuries, farmers and villagers have used dowsing because the need was practical. Find water, and a settlement could survive. Miss it, and the cost was serious. Skeptics say the movement comes from the ideomotor effect, where tiny unconscious muscle actions make the rods move. They also note that water is common underground in many places, which can make success easier than it appears. Still, many dowsers insist they are not guessing. Some describe sensations in the hands, changes in body tension, or a pull that feels external. The mystery is not only whether the rods respond, it is whether the human body may detect environmental clues that remain below ordinary awareness. Psychometry suggests objects may carry traces of their owners. In a psychometry reading, someone holds a ring, watch, letter, or piece of clothing and describes impressions about the person connected to it. The object becomes a kind of doorway. Some readers report emotions first. Others describe scenes, names, or fragments of personality. It is easy to see why the idea fascinates people. Objects pass through intimate moments. They sit in pockets, rest beside beds, and travel through private lives. Skeptics argue that readers can make educated guesses from style, wear, age, and context. A wedding ring already tells a story. A military medal tells another. But the strongest claims involve objects sealed from view or stripped of obvious clues. The levers suggest that matter may record contact in some unknown way. Some people compare it to a fingerprint of experience rather than a physical mark. The thought is irresistible. Perhaps the things we carry also carry something of us. Aura readers claim emotions appear as colors around the body. The idea of a human energy field appears in many spiritual traditions, but aura reading gives it a vivid form. A reader might say that worry looks clouded, confidence appears bright, or illness creates a disturbance near the body. Some people claim they see the colors directly. Others describe sensing them inwardly, as if the image forms in the mind rather than the eyes. Skeptics point to suggestion, body language, and the way general statements can feel personal when delivered with confidence. They also note that color meanings often vary between readers. Still, the practice remains popular because it offers a striking possibility. What if emotion is not locked inside the face or voice? What if states of mind extend outward in ways sensitive people can detect? Even if the colors are symbolic rather than literal, the claim asks whether humans are reading one another on levels we rarely admit. Kirlian photography made many wonder whether life has a visible energy. In the 20th century, images made with high-voltage photographic techniques showed glowing outlines around fingers, leaves, and small objects. To believers, these strange halos looked like proof that living things have an energy field. A cut leaf might still show a suggestion of its former shape, at least in some famous claims. That image alone fed decades of fascination. Critics explained the glow through moisture, pressure, electrical discharge, and the conditions of the photographic plate. They argue that the effect is physical rather than psychic. Yet the pictures remain powerful because they appear to make the unseen visible. People who already believed in a life force saw confirmation. Others saw a beautiful trick of electricity. The mystery sits between those views. Even if the glow has a normal mechanism, why did it capture the imagination so deeply? Perhaps because humans have always suspected that life has a radiance just beyond ordinary sight. Automatic writing has produced messages that seemed beyond the writer's knowledge. A person places pen to paper, relaxes their control, and words begin to appear. Sometimes the writing looks like scattered thought. Sometimes it forms long messages, unusual phrases, or information the writer later claims not to remember learning. Spiritualists often interpreted this as communication from another intelligence. Psychologists have viewed it as the unconscious mind expressing hidden material. Both possibilities are fascinating in different ways. If the source is external, then personality may reach across a boundary we do not understand. If the source is internal, then the mind contains rooms far deeper than everyday awareness can enter. Famous cases have included writings in unfamiliar styles, unexpected names, and complex narratives that seem to arrive without planning. Skeptics warn that people can unconsciously create more than they realize. Yet that does not make the phenomenon dull. It may reveal how much intelligence can operate beneath the feeling of control. Trance mediums sometimes speak with voices unlike their own. In a trance sitting, the medium may appear to step aside while another personality takes the stage. The voice can change in tone, rhythm, vocabulary, and emotional presence. Sitters have reported hearing accents, mannerisms, or personal expressions that reminded them of someone who had died. To believers, this suggests communication through a borrowed body. To skeptics, it may be performance, dissociation, or the mind creating characters with surprising skill. What makes the subject compelling is that some mediums seem to produce information, while in a state they later described as blank or dreamlike. The question becomes very difficult. Is the medium acting consciously or unconsciously? Is the mind dividing itself into separate roles? Or is something outside the person briefly speaking through them? Even cautious observers have sometimes admitted that the atmosphere of a strong trance sitting can feel unlike ordinary conversation, as if the room has gained an extra presence. Table tipping became a strange centerpiece of Victorian séance rooms. In the 19th century, people gathered around small tables and waited for movement. The table might rock, knock, tilt, or seem to answer questions by tapping. The setting was social, dramatic, and easy to reproduce in private homes. It spread quickly because anyone could take part. There was no need for expensive equipment or rare training. Yet that same simplicity made fraud and unconscious movement hard to rule out. A light pressure from several hands could create motion, while everyone believed someone else was responsible. Still, many witnesses insisted the movements felt stronger than any participant could manage. Some claimed tables rose from the floor or responded with information unknown to those present. The practice became a gateway into larger spiritualist belief. It also revealed something important about human expectation. When people sit together in suspense, waiting for an answer from the unseen, even a small movement can feel like a door opening. The Fox sisters helped launch modern spiritualism with mysterious knocks. In 1848, strange rapping sounds in a New York home became a sensation. Two young sisters were said to communicate with an unseen presence through knocks that answered questions. The story spread because it arrived at the perfect moment. Many people were already searching for reassurance that death was not the end, and the idea of simple coded communication felt both intimate and astonishing. The sisters became famous, and spiritualist circles grew across America and beyond. Later, the story became tangled in confession, retraction, and controversy. Skeptics saw proof of fraud. Believers argued that the movement had grown beyond one family and still contained genuine mysteries. The power of the case lies in its consequences. A few knocks in a modest home helped ignite a culture of seances, mediums, and public debate. Whether trickery, real contact, or something in between, the sound changed the history of the paranormal. Ectoplasm photographs fascinated believers despite many exposed tricks. Early spiritualist photography sometimes showed pale material emerging from a medium during a seance. It could appear as mist, cloth-like substance, or even a face. To believers, this was a physical sign that spirit energy was becoming visible. To investigators, it often looked suspiciously like muslin, paper, or staged material. Many famous examples were exposed as fraudulent, and some are almost theatrical when viewed today. Yet the fascination did not vanish. The idea behind ectoplasm was extraordinary. It suggested that the unseen could borrow matter from the living and briefly shape itself into form. That claim was so bold that even poor evidence could stir the imagination. The best lesson may be the tension between longing and proof. People wanted contact so strongly that dim rooms and strange photographs became sacred clues. The mystery now is not only whether ectoplasm existed, it is why the hope of seeing the invisible became so powerful. Direct voice seances claimed spirits could speak into the room. Unlike ordinary mediumship, these sittings claimed that voices appeared in open space rather than through the medium's mouth. Witnesses described messages coming from near the ceiling, across the table, or from a trumpet-shaped device used to amplify sound. The idea was astonishing because it promised something closer to a physical event. A voice could be heard by everyone present. Sometimes it seemed to carry personal phrases or familiar tones. Skeptics pointed to ventriloquism, hidden tubes, darkness, and the difficulty of observing carefully in a seance room. Many fraudulent methods were possible. Yet some reports came from witnesses who believed they had taken precautions and still heard something unaccountable. The appeal is easy to understand. A message in the mind can be doubted. A spoken voice in the room feels harder to explain. The mystery asks whether sound itself can ever become a bridge between the living and the unseen. The skull experiments are still discussed by paranormal researchers today. In the 1990s, a group in a village in England held seances that reportedly produced unusual lights, images, sounds, and messages under controlled observation. Supporters saw the work as one of the most intriguing modern attempts at physical mediumship. The claims included photographic anomalies and apparent communications that seemed to occur without ordinary handling. Investigators attended some sessions and left with differing levels of conviction. Critics raised concerns about darkness, control of materials, and the difficulty of eliminating every normal explanation. That disagreement is part of why the case still draws attention. It did not arrive from a distant legend. It came from a modern setting, with observers who tried to document what happened. For some, it suggests that physical phenomena can still occur when conditions are right. For others, it shows how even careful people can be misled. The lasting mystery is why the reports remain so difficult to settle. Electronic voice phenomena suggest strange whispers may hide inside recordings. A person records silence, plays it back, and hears a faint phrase that was not noticed at the time. Sometimes the voice sounds like a murmur. Sometimes it seems to answer a question. The practice became popular because it required ordinary equipment and offered a thrilling possibility. The unseen might not need a medium. It might only need a device sensitive enough to catch fragments. Skeptics explain many examples through radio interference, background noise, audio artifacts, and the mind's talent for finding words in unclear sound. This last point is important because humans are built to detect speech. We hear patterns quickly, even when the signal is messy. Yet believers argue that some recordings contain relevant replies, unusual timing, or voices that sound distinct from anyone present. The mystery is perfectly suited to the modern world. Machines surround us, and some people wonder whether they sometimes capture more than we intended. Instrumental transcommunication imagines spirit contact through radios and screens. This field expands the idea of electronic voice phenomena into a broader claim. Instead of only faint audio, people have searched for faces, written messages, or strange patterns through televisions, computers, telephones, and other devices. The basic thought is startling. If consciousness survives death, perhaps it might use electronic systems as a bridge. Supporters point to cases where unexpected images or phrases appear with emotional relevance to the receiver. Critics argue that noise, glitches, reflections, and human interpretation can create powerful illusions. Old screens and unstable signals are especially rich in random patterns. Even so, the concept keeps evolving because technology changes how people imagine contact. A seance table belonged to one century. a flickering monitor belongs to another. The deeper question remains the same. If another intelligence wanted to reach us, would it use whatever tools our age understands best? That possibility gives every unexplained signal a strange new weight. Some haunted houses seem to produce repeating emotional impressions. Certain buildings are not famous because of one dramatic sighting. They are remembered because visitors report the same mood again and again. A room may feel heavy. A staircase may create a sudden need to leave. A corner may seem watched, even when nothing visible occurs. These reports suggest that a haunting might not always be a figure in a white shape or a voice in the dark. It might be an atmosphere that presses on people in a consistent way. Skeptics can offer practical causes. Bad lighting, drafts, low sound, mold, and expectation can all affect perception. Yet some places develop reputations before visitors know the stories. That is where the idea becomes more interesting. Perhaps strong human events can leave an imprint on a location. Or perhaps people unconsciously detect subtle environmental clues and translate them into emotion. Either way, some houses seem to remember more than they should. Residual hauntings may be memories replaying inside a location. This idea treats certain hauntings less like a spirit encounter and more like a recording. Footsteps cross the same hallway. A figure follows the same route. Sounds repeat without responding to witnesses. The activity appears to have no awareness, which is why many people compare it to a scene being played back. The theory is often called the stone tape idea, because it imagines buildings or landscapes somehow holding impressions from the past. There is no accepted mechanism for this, but the concept remains popular because it explains why some apparitions seem fixed in routine. Skeptics argue that repetition can come from story tradition, misidentified normal sounds, or people shaping later accounts to match earlier ones. Yet the idea has a quiet force. If matter can store heat, magnetism, and vibration, some wonder whether intense events could leave a subtler trace. Perhaps some hauntings are not visitors. Perhaps they are echoes. Intelligent hauntings suggest unseen presences may react to witnesses. These cases feel different from repeating footsteps or fixed impressions. The activity appears to answer. A knock comes after a question. An object moves after attention is given. A name seems to appear at the right moment. That sense of response is what makes intelligent hauntings so compelling and so controversial. If something reacts, then the haunting seems less like a memory and more like a mind. Investigators often try simple experiments, asking for sounds or changes in the room. Critics warn that expectation can reshape every creak and tap into meaning. They also point out that people naturally connect events that happen close together. Still, witnesses sometimes describe patterns that feel difficult to reduce to chance. A presence may seem playful, lonely, protective, or irritated. The strangest part is not the disturbance itself. It is the impression of personality. That impression makes people wonder who, or what, might still be paying attention. Shadow figures blur the line between sleep, fear, and folklore. Reports often describe a dark human shape seen at the edge of a room, near a doorway, or beside a bed. The figure may vanish quickly, or it may seem to stand and observe. Many accounts occur at night, which immediately raises the possibility of sleep-related experiences. The brain can create vivid forms while waking or falling asleep, especially when fear is present. Shadows, clothing, furniture, and low light can also combine into a convincing shape. Yet the phenomenon has become a modern folklore of its own, because people across different places describe similar figures. Some talk about a tall outline. Others mention a figure with a hat. A few believe these forms are entities that feed on fear, while others see them as projections of the mind. The mystery is powerful because it happens in the most vulnerable setting. The witness is not exploring a ruin. The witness is simply trying to sleep. Sleep paralysis visions sometimes feel like visitors from another realm. During sleep paralysis, a person wakes unable to move, while the room feels intensely real. Many also sense a presence nearby. Some see a figure, hear breathing, or feel pressure on the body. Science explains the condition as a mismatch between dreaming and waking. The body remains in sleep paralysis, while the mind becomes aware. That explanation is strong, but it does not remove the emotional force. Across cultures, people have interpreted these episodes as spirits, demons, night hags, aliens, or invisible intruders. The same physical state can produce very different stories depending on belief and setting. This makes the phenomenon one of the best bridges between neurology and folklore. Perhaps the brain is creating the visitor. Perhaps the state opens perception to something outside ordinary awareness. The question stays alive because the experience feels less like a dream than an encounter. For many witnesses, the fear comes from feeling watched by something that knows they cannot move. Shared dreams raise questions about whether minds can meet elsewhere. Two people wake and discover they remember the same scene, conversation, or unusual symbol. Sometimes they were close friends. Sometimes they were far apart. The accounts are difficult to verify because dreams are slippery and often change as they are retold. Yet the idea is so fascinating that it keeps returning in personal stories and experimental attempts. A shared dream suggests that sleep might not be entirely private. It hints at a meeting place created by memory, emotion, or something stranger. Skeptics note that people often influence each other after waking. One person describes a dream, and the other begins to see similarities in their own. But some reports claim both dreams were written down separately before comparison. Those are the cases that draw attention. If minds can overlap while sleeping, then the dream world may be more than internal theater. It may be a hidden social space we enter without knowing the rules. Lucid dreamers have reported receiving information they later verified. In a lucid dream, the dreamer knows they are dreaming and can sometimes make choices inside the experience. That awareness has led some people to use dreams as a testing ground. They ask for hidden information, seek lost objects, or try to meet a person who has died. Most results are symbolic or confusing. Yet some dreamers report waking with a detail that later appears accurate. It might be a forgotten location, a phrase from an old document, or a fact they do not remember learning. Skeptics suggest ordinary memory, lucky association, or later interpretation. The mind stores far more than it can easily retrieve, and dreams may unlock buried knowledge. But the fringe possibility is more thrilling. Perhaps lucid dreaming allows consciousness to move with intention through a deeper information field. If ordinary dreams are drifting, lucid dreams might be steering. That makes each clear moment inside sleep feel like an experiment. Out-of-body experiences describe consciousness moving beyond the body. A person feels themselves rise, float, or shift away from their physical form. They may look down and see the room from a new angle, or find themselves traveling through a familiar place without walking. These reports appear in meditation, trauma, sleep states, and near-death accounts. The conventional explanation often focuses on brain processes that construct body position and spatial awareness. When those systems misfire, the sense of self can feel displaced. Yet many witnesses insist the experience was sharper than imagination. Some say they saw details they later confirmed, which turns a strange sensation into a deeper puzzle. The topic is captivating because it strikes at the center of identity. Are we located in the body because the brain tells us so? Or is awareness less fixed than everyday life suggests? Even one credible journey beyond the body would change how we understand the self. Astral projection traditions claim the soul can travel while sleeping. Across occult and spiritual traditions, people have described deliberate journeys into another layer of reality. The body rests, but the traveler believes a subtler self moves through physical places or non-physical realms. Training often involves relaxation, vibration sensations, and the feeling of separating from the body. Some practitioners treat it as exploration. Others see it as spiritual practice. Skeptics view the journeys as lucid dreams, imagination, or altered states shaped by expectation. Yet the accounts often include strikingly consistent stages. A buzzing feeling, a sudden lift, and a sense of movement appear again and again. The most controversial claims involve travelers visiting real locations and later checking what they saw. Even when those claims are disputed, the practice remains fascinating because it offers a bold model of consciousness. In this view, sleep is not merely rest. It is a doorway, and the self may be capable of learning how to leave. Near-death tunnels appear in stories from many different cultures. People who return from the edge of death often describe moving through darkness toward a point of light. The details change from one person to another, yet the basic shape appears again and again. Some describe peace. Others remember a sense of being drawn forward by a force that felt intelligent. Medical explanations often focus on the brain under stress, changes in vision, and the way consciousness may narrow during crisis. Those ideas may explain much of the experience. Still, the pattern has fascinated people because it appears in places with different beliefs about death. For some, the passage is a biological event. For others, it is a real transition that the person only partly completed. The mystery becomes more powerful because the experiencer often returns changed. They may lose fear, alter their values, or speak with certainty about a border they believe they briefly approached. Veridical perception cases challenge ordinary explanations of dying consciousness. The most difficult near-death reports are the ones that include checkable details. A person later describes something that happened while they were unconscious, sedated, or medically unresponsive. The information might involve a conversation, an object, or an action in a place the patient could not normally see. Most stories do not reach that level. Many are personal and cannot be tested. But the rare accounts that seem verifiable create a serious puzzle. Skeptics say memory can form during brief moments of awareness, and hospital sounds may be woven into later narratives. They also warn that retellings can sharpen over time. Yet some reports remain unusually stubborn because witnesses remember the detail from both sides. If consciousness can observe while the body appears unable to gather information, then the usual model feels incomplete. The question is not whether every story is true. The question is why a few refuse to behave like ordinary memories. Reincarnation researchers have documented children naming unfamiliar former families. Some of the most remarkable cases begin before a child is old enough to understand death in an adult way. They speak of another name, another house, and people they insist once belonged to them. In stronger reports, investigators later find a deceased person whose life appears to match the child's statements. The child may recognize relatives, mention private details, or react emotionally to places they should not know. Skeptics raise reasonable doubts. Children hear more than adults realize. Families can shape stories without meaning to. Local beliefs may encourage certain interpretations. Yet the best cases are fascinating because the statements were recorded early, before a match was discovered. That timing matters. It reduces the chance that the story was built backward. Some people see this as evidence that personality can return. Others think it reveals an unknown form of memory transfer. Either way, it pushes the mystery of identity into very strange territory. Birthmarks in past life cases are treated as possible clues. In some reincarnation reports, physical marks on the child are said to correspond with injuries or unusual features from a previous person's body. The claim is delicate and it has to be handled with care, but it has drawn enormous attention. A birthmark might appear in a location that matches a remembered wound. A child might also express a strong fear connected to the same story. Skeptics argue that birthmarks are common, and people may connect them to a narrative after the fact. They also point out that families can notice patterns only once a reincarnation story begins. Still, supporters believe certain cases are too specific to dismiss easily, especially when medical records or family testimony seem to align. The idea is startling because it suggests memory may not only return as words or feelings. It might leave a sign on the body itself, as though experience can cross into flesh. The case of James Leininger still fascinates reincarnation believers. A young American boy began describing memories connected to aviation and a life that seemed to end during the Second World War. His parents later reported that he gave names, aircraft details, and references that appeared to point toward a real pilot. The story became famous because it unfolded in a modern family that did not begin with a strong public commitment to reincarnation. That made the case feel less like folklore and more like a mystery entering an ordinary home. Skeptics have questioned how much the child may have learned from books, television, museums, or conversations around him. They also note that parents trying to understand a frightened child can gradually organize scattered remarks into a clearer story. Yet the emotional force of the account remains striking. For believers, it suggests memory can survive death with surprising specificity. For doubters, it shows how powerful a child's imagination can become when surrounded by real historical material. Shanti Devi's childhood memories drew national attention in India. In the 1930s, a girl in Delhi claimed she remembered a previous life in another city. She spoke of a husband, a home, and personal details that reportedly matched a woman who had died years earlier. The case drew attention from public figures and investigators because it seemed unusually specific. When she was taken to the place connected with the claimed memory, witnesses said she recognized people and locations in ways that startled them. Skeptics have suggested information could have reached her by ordinary means, especially in a society where stories travel through families and communities. Believers answer that her statements began early and included details difficult to explain as casual knowledge. The case remains important because it became more than a family tale. It entered public discussion and forced serious people to ask whether children's memories could point beyond one lifetime. Even now, it stands as one of reincarnation's most discussed stories. The Philip experiment tried creating a ghost through group belief. In the 1970s, a group in Canada invented a fictional spirit with a name, personality, and imaginary history. Then they held seances as though he were real. The strange result was that table movements and apparent responses reportedly began to occur. The experiment became famous because it offered a radical possibility. Maybe some paranormal events do not come from the dead at all. Maybe focused belief can create a presence that behaves like an entity. Skeptics point toward unconscious muscle movement, expectation, and the power of group dynamics. Those explanations are sensible. Yet the idea remains fascinating because the group knew the character was invented. If effects still appeared, then the source may have been the living minds in the room. That possibility changes the whole question. A haunting might not always be a visitor from beyond. It could be a thought given enough attention to answer back. Tulpa legends suggest imagination might become strangely independent. The word is often linked to Tibetan thought, though modern use has changed it in many ways. Today, it usually refers to a created mental companion that becomes vivid, responsive, and seemingly separate from the person who first imagined it. That idea is both fascinating and unsettling. At first, a tulpa may begin as deliberate visualization. Over time, some people claim it develops its own preferences, speech patterns, and emotional presence. Psychology can explain this through dissociation, inner dialogue, or the brain's talent for building characters. Writers and daydreamers know how creations can start to feel alive. Yet tulpa accounts go further by suggesting the creation may gain a kind of autonomy. Some people see this as proof that focused consciousness can generate independent forms. Others see it as a window into how flexible identity really is. The mystery asks where imagination ends and where a second presence might begin. Thought forms appear in occult traditions as ideas given hidden life. Many esoteric systems describe mental energy as something that can gather shape when repeated with strong intention. A fear, desire, or image may become more than a private thought. It may act like a subtle form that influences mood, chance, or even events. This concept appears in different language across magical and spiritual traditions. The basic claim is surprisingly simple. Attention feeds patterns. Patterns can begin to behave as if they have momentum. Skeptics interpret thought forms as psychological loops. A person believes something is present, then notices evidence that strengthens the belief. That explanation may cover many experiences. Still, the idea has a strange everyday logic. A rumor can change behavior. A shared fear can transform a house. A repeated image can dominate a group. Occult writers take that familiar truth one step further. They suggest thoughts may not stay inside us. They may move outward and become active in ways we barely understand. Collective belief may shape experiences people call supernatural. Some mysteries seem to grow stronger when many people expect them. A village hears of a haunting, and soon more witnesses appear. A school shares a strange story, and students begin reporting the same sensation. A legend takes hold, and the environment seems to cooperate. Skeptics call this social contagion, and it can be very real. People influence one another through suggestion, fear, and attention. Yet that does not fully drain the mystery. If belief can change what people perceive, feel, and remember, then belief is already a powerful force. Some people go further and wonder whether shared expectation might shape events themselves. In that view, the supernatural is not only discovered, it is partly made. This could explain why certain places become charged after stories gather around them. Whether the force is psychological or paranormal, collective belief can turn ordinary space into a stage where the impossible feels ready to happen. Psychic healing claims suggest intention may affect the body at distance. The idea seems impossible at first. One person focuses care, prayer, or mental energy towards someone else, and the other person's condition is said to change. Many claims are impossible to separate from ordinary recovery, treatment, rest, and hope. That makes the subject difficult. Still, the possibility has drawn interest because healing is one of the oldest reasons people turn toward the unseen. A healer may work through touch, a photograph, or simply a name. Some recipients report warmth, calm, or sudden relief, even when the healer is far away. Skeptics argue that expectation, natural improvement, and selective memory explain the stories. They may be right in many cases, yet the question remains deeply compelling. If emotion can affect the body internally, perhaps focused intention can do more than we assume. Even a small effect would be extraordinary. It would mean care, is not only a feeling, it might be a force. Prayer studies opened a difficult debate about mind and recovery. Researchers have sometimes tried to test whether prayer for sick people makes a measurable difference. The challenge is enormous because faith is not a simple laboratory tool. People pray in different ways, patients have different conditions, and outcomes can be shaped by countless factors. Some studies have suggested possible benefits. Others have found no clear effect, or results that are hard to interpret. The debate became intense because it touches both science and belief. To some, testing prayer feels like trying to measure something sacred with the wrong instrument. To others, any claim about physical effects should be open to careful study. What makes the subject fascinating is the deeper question behind it. Can directed compassion reach someone who does not know it is being sent? Or does prayer work mainly by changing the person who prays? The answer remains uncertain, but the mystery sits close to the heart of human hope. Placebo effects show belief can create real physical changes. A person takes a harmless pill and feels pain decrease because they believe treatment has begun. This is not just pretending. The body can release chemicals, reduce symptoms, and change measurable responses through expectation. That fact alone makes the mind seem more mysterious than ordinary thinking allows. The placebo effect is often used to explain away psychic healing, but it can also make the subject more interesting. If belief can alter the body from within, then consciousness is already participating in biology. The question becomes how far that participation can reach. Skeptics say placebo responses do not prove distant healing, telepathy, or energy medicine. That is true. But they do prove that meaning and physiology are linked in powerful ways. A word from a trusted healer, a ritual, or a symbol can become part of recovery. The mystery is not whether belief matters. The mystery is why the body listens so closely. The observer effect is often pulled into psychic speculation. In physics, the act of measurement can change what is being measured, especially at very small scales. This idea has often been borrowed by people interested in consciousness and reality. Some claim it hints that mind plays a role in shaping the world. Scientists usually warn that this is a misunderstanding, because measurement in physics does not mean human attention in the everyday sense. Yet the concept remains irresistible because it sounds like a crack in the wall of solid reality. If observation matters at the deepest level, some wonder whether intention might matter too. The leap is controversial, and many researchers reject it. Still, the speculation has become part of modern paranormal thinking. It gives language to an older suspicion that the universe is not simply sitting there, separate from us. Perhaps reality is more interactive than it appears. Perhaps the mind is not only watching the world, but participating in it. Random number generators have behaved oddly during major world events. Machines designed to produce unpredictable output should not care what humans are feeling. Yet some experiments have reported small statistical shifts during moments when many people were focused on the same event. The effect is usually tiny, but the idea is huge. If shared attention can correlate with changes in randomness, then collective consciousness might leave a measurable trace. Critics argue that random data naturally forms clusters, and researchers may notice strange patterns only after meaningful events occur. They also question which events count and how the comparisons are chosen. Those concerns matter. Still, the possibility is hard to resist. Imagine a world where grief, celebration, fear, or awe can create a faint ripple in systems that should be indifferent. It would not look like a miracle. It would look like a small statistical lean. That may be exactly why the claim is so intriguing. The signal, if real, hides inside chance. The Global Consciousness Project searched for patterns in shared emotion. This project placed random event generators in different parts of the world and examined whether their outputs changed during major global moments. The idea was not that one person could bend a machine by staring at it. The idea was broader and stranger. When millions of people focus emotionally on the same event, perhaps something collective forms. Supporters reported deviations around certain dramatic moments, which they interpreted as hints of a connected human field. Critics challenged the methods, the event selection, and the statistical interpretation. They argued that unusual patterns can appear when large amounts of data are searched from many angles. Still, the project remains fascinating because it tried to ask an enormous question with simple machines. Are minds isolated, or are they part of a shared background? If a global, emotional moment can leave any measurable mark, even a faint one, then humanity may be more connected than ordinary life suggests. Micro-psychokinesis experiments asked whether thought can nudge probability. Instead of trying to move large objects, these experiments looked for tiny effects on random systems. A person might intend for a machine to produce more high numbers than low ones, or try to influence random electronic output across many trials. The results, when claimed, are usually small. That is part of the controversy and part of the fascination. A tiny shift can be dismissed easily in one experiment. Across many attempts, supporters say the pattern becomes harder to ignore. Skeptics argue that publication bias, flexible analysis, and experimental flaws can create the appearance of an effect. Both sides know the stakes are large. If intention can alter probability by even a fraction, then the mind has a hidden relationship with chance. It would not be the movie version of psychic power. It would be subtler. Reality would remain mostly stable, but the dice of existence might lean when consciousness asks them to. Spoon-bending parties turned psychic power into a public spectacle. In some gatherings, people were invited to hold metal cutlery, focus their attention, and wait for bending to happen. The atmosphere mattered. Excitement rose as one person's spoon curved, and then another participant felt something shift. Some described the metal becoming warm or strangely soft. Skeptics saw a mixture of physical pressure, misdirection, and social influence. A spoon can be weakened or bent gradually while attention is elsewhere. Yet participants often left convinced that they had felt something beyond ordinary force. The power of these events came from participation. People were not simply watching a famous performer. They were testing the impossible in their own hands. That made the experience personal. Whether the cause was psychic energy, expectation, or clever technique, the parties showed how quickly a group can enter a state where the unbelievable seems available. For a few minutes, the boundary between trick, belief, and wonder becomes surprisingly thin. Levitation stories appear in religious accounts across many centuries. Reports of holy figures rising from the ground are found in many traditions. The stories often describe moments of intense devotion, altered consciousness, or spiritual ecstasy. To believers, levitation shows that the body can become subject to a higher law. To skeptics, the accounts reflect exaggeration, symbolic storytelling, hidden support, or the power of witnesses to interpret unusual movement through faith. Many reports come from eras when documentation was limited, which makes them difficult to evaluate. Yet they continue to fascinate because they are so direct. The human body is heavy. The ground is dependable. A person lifting without ordinary cause would be impossible to ignore. Some people suggest these stories should not be read as physics claims at all, but as attempts to describe overwhelming spiritual presence. Others take them more literally. The mystery remains suspended between devotion and evidence. It asks whether consciousness, under rare conditions, could ever loosen the body from gravity. Stigmata cases blur devotion, psychology, and unexplained bodily change. Some deeply religious individuals have been reported to develop marks resembling the wounds of Christ. The subject is sensitive, and many cases have been debated for centuries. Believers see the marks as signs of mystical union and extreme spiritual devotion. Skeptics have proposed fraud, self-injury, medical conditions, or psychosomatic processes shaped by powerful belief. The mystery is not helped by the fact that cases vary widely. Some were carefully observed. Others were surrounded by legend. What makes the phenomenon so fascinating is the connection between mind, faith, and body. We already know strong emotion can affect physiology. Stress can produce real symptoms. Belief can influence pain and healing. But stigmata claims go further. They suggest that an inner religious image might appear on the body in visible form. Whether divine, psychological, or unexplained, these cases raise a startling possibility. The body may express meaning in ways that still unsettle modern understanding. Bilocation legends describe saints appearing in two places at once. Some religious traditions tell of holy people being seen far from their physical location. A monk remains in one monastery, yet witnesses claim he visited another town. A spiritual teacher is bedridden, yet someone miles away reports receiving comfort from him. These stories are usually tied to figures considered unusually disciplined or spiritually advanced. Skeptics suggest mistaken identity, rumor, dream encounters, or later embellishment by followers. Those explanations are often reasonable. Yet the accounts remain compelling because they appear in separate traditions and often involve sincere witnesses. The idea is not simply teleportation. It suggests that consciousness, or a subtle double, may separate from the body and appear where needed. Some compare it with out-of-body travel, but bilocation adds the startling claim that others can see the projected form. Whether miracle, myth, or hidden ability, the legend asks whether human presence is always confined to one point in space. Prophetic dreams have shaped decisions for rulers and ordinary people. Throughout history, people have changed plans because of a dream that felt important. A leader might delay a journey. A parent might protect a child. A traveler might avoid a road without knowing why. Sometimes nothing happens, and the dream fades into private memory. Other times, later events make the decision seem strangely wise. Ancient societies often treated dreams as messages from gods or ancestors. Modern people may describe them as intuition or subconscious processing. The language changes, but the power remains. Dreams can carry authority because they arrive from a part of the mind that feels outside ordinary control. Skeptics remind us that dreams are countless, and only a few appear prophetic after events unfold. That is true. Yet the stories endure because some dreams produce action before proof exists. The mystery is not only whether dreams predict the future. It is why humans have trusted them at crucial moments for so long. Abraham Lincoln reportedly dreamed of death before his assassination. One of the most famous presidential premonition stories says Lincoln described a disturbing dream shortly before he was killed. In the account, he encountered mourning inside the White House and asked who had died. The reply pointed to the president. The story has been repeated for generations because it feels almost too dramatic, as though history briefly warned itself. Skeptics question the timing, the accuracy of later recollection, and the way famous deaths attract legends. It is also possible that Lincoln's mind was processing real danger. He lived through war, received threats, and carried enormous stress. A dream of death would not be surprising in that context. Yet the account remains unforgettable because it joins private sleep with public tragedy. If true in its strongest form, it suggests the future may sometimes announce itself symbolically. If not, it still shows how powerfully humans search for signs before catastrophe becomes history. Mark Twain described a dream that seemed to predict tragedy. The writer later claimed he dreamed of his brother laid out in a metal coffin before a real accident took his brother's life. The reported match included details that made the memory feel chilling. Twain was not a careless storyteller, and the account carries the weight of a man known for wit rather than easy superstition. Skeptics can still question the memory, the timing, and whether grief sharpened the dream into a more perfect prophecy after the event. That is always possible with retrospective accounts. Yet the story remains compelling because it involves a famous observer of human nature confronting something that seemed to exceed ordinary explanation. The dream did not prevent the loss. It did not arrive as a clear instruction. It appeared as an image that only later gained meaning. That is often how premonition stories work. They do not hand over a map. They leave a symbol, waiting to be understood. The Aberfan premonitions remain among Britain's most haunting psychic reports. Before the Welsh disaster in 1966, some people reportedly experienced dreams, drawings, or uneasy warnings that later seemed connected to what happened. The most discussed accounts involved children and adults who appeared to sense danger before any public knowledge existed. The subject must be approached with respect because the real event involved great sorrow. What makes the psychic reports so unsettling is their timing. Afterward, a psychiatrist collected accounts from people who believed they had received warnings. Skeptics argue that tragedy can cause memories to reorganize, and vague dreams may be reinterpreted once a terrible event gives them shape. That caution matters. Still, some reports were said to be unusually specific, which is why the case remains important in premonition research. The mystery asks a painful question. If warnings sometimes come, why are they so unclear? Perhaps the future speaks softly. Perhaps the human mind can only receive fragments. Titanic premonition stories appeared before and after the disaster. Long before the ship became a symbol of doomed confidence, there were stories of people who felt uneasy about the voyage. Some reportedly cancelled plans. Others described dreams or written fiction that seemed to echo the catastrophe in strange ways. After the sinking, these accounts became part of the larger legend. Skeptics warn that famous disasters attract coincidences. Many people had travel anxieties, and not every cancelled ticket is mysterious. Fiction about shipwrecks was common in an age fascinated by ocean travel. Yet the Titanic stories still hold attention because the event itself seemed to challenge human certainty. A ship called Unsinkable was lost on its first voyage, and the mind naturally looks backward for warning signs. The most intriguing reports are those with records or witnesses from before the disaster. They raise the possibility that some people sensed a pattern before it became history, even if they could not explain what they felt. Premonition bureaus once collected public warnings about future events. In the 20th century, some researchers tried a bold idea. Instead of waiting for strange predictions to be reported after a disaster, they invited people to send warnings in advance. These bureaus collected dreams, feelings, and specific forecasts, hoping to see whether any would match later events. The method was fascinating because it addressed one of the biggest problems in premonition claims. Hindsight can make almost anything look meaningful. A prediction recorded beforehand is harder to dismiss. Yet the project also revealed the difficulty of the subject. Many warnings were vague. Many never came true. A few seemed interesting, but deciding what counted as a match became a challenge. Still, the existence of these bureaus shows how seriously some people took the possibility. They imagined a future where psychic alerts might be gathered like weather reports. The dream was extraordinary. If premonitions could be organized, perhaps tragedy might one day be softened by forewarning. Psychic detectives have sometimes offered clues in difficult missing person cases. When ordinary searches stall, families sometimes turn to psychics in desperation. A sensitive may describe a landscape, a direction, an object, or a feeling connected with the person who is missing. Police usually treat such information cautiously because false leads can waste time and cause pain. Many psychic tips do not help. Some are too vague to test. Yet a few stories have become famous because a clue seemed to align with later discoveries. Skeptics point out that high-profile cases generate many guesses, and some will appear correct by chance. They also warn that details can be remembered differently after a case is solved. Still, the subject remains compelling because the stakes feel so human. A family wants answers. A stranger claims to sense a trail no map can show. Whether intuition, coincidence, or something paranormal, the idea of hidden information reaching through concern is one of the most emotionally charged psychic claims. Police consultations with psychics remain controversial, but strangely persistent. Official agencies rarely want to advertise it, yet stories keep surfacing about investigators listening to psychics during difficult cases. Sometimes the contact is informal. Sometimes a family passes information along. Sometimes an officer hears a tip and checks it without endorsing the source. The controversy is obvious. Law enforcement depends on evidence, and psychic impressions can be vague, misleading, or impossible to verify. Critics argue that such consultations risk distraction and false hope. Yet the practice persists because unsolved cases create pressure. When conventional leads go cold, even unlikely information may be considered if it can be tested safely. Some officers have admitted that a psychic did not solve a case but helped them think differently. Others reject the entire idea. The mystery is not that psychics replace investigation. They do not. The mystery is why the door never fully closes. In the hardest cases, people still wonder whether information can arrive by an unknown route. Missing object readings suggest intuition may track what logic misses. Almost everyone has lost something and found it only after giving up. Psychic missing object work takes that ordinary frustration and turns it into a mystery. A reader may ask the owner to picture the item, then describe a room, a surface, or a strange clue. Sometimes the object is found in a place that matches the impression closely enough to surprise everyone involved. Skeptics argue that good guesses, household knowledge, and broad descriptions can explain many successes. A lost key is likely near a door. A ring may be near a sink or bedside table. Yet some readings include odd details that feel less predictable. The appeal lies in how practical the claim is. It is not about distant planets or ancient spirits. It is about a misplaced thing in an ordinary home. If intuition can find what memory cannot, then psychic perception may begin with the small mysteries of daily life. Empaths claim they can sense emotions hidden behind polite behavior. Some people say they know when a room feels wrong before anyone speaks honestly. They may notice sadness behind a smile, anger under calm words, or fear that has not yet become visible. Ordinary perception can explain part of this. Humans read posture, tone, breathing, and tiny facial changes more quickly than we realize. Yet empath claims go further. Some describe emotional information arriving as pressure, tiredness, warmth, or a sudden shift in mood that seems borrowed from someone nearby. Skeptics say this may be sensitivity, pattern reading, or projection. Believers suggest that feelings are not sealed inside the body. They may radiate outward in a form certain people detect more strongly. The fascination is easy to understand. If emotion has a field, then every social space is filled with hidden weather. The empath may be less like a mind reader and more like a receiver tuned to human atmosphere. Clairaudience describes hearing messages that others in the room cannot. The experience may arrive as a voice, a phrase, a name, or a sudden sentence that seems to come from outside ordinary thought. Some people hear it as clearly as speech. Others describe it as an inner sound that has a different quality from their own thinking. Mediums often connect it with spirit communication, while intuitive readers may treat it as guidance. Skeptics point to imagination, memory, stress, and the way the mind can generate language without deliberate effort. In some cases, medical explanations must be considered carefully and respectfully. Yet the claim remains fascinating because the information can be unexpectedly specific. A single word may lead someone to a person, a place, or a hidden memory. The mystery lies in the source. Is the voice an external intelligence, a deeper layer of the self, or a pattern formed from clues too subtle to notice consciously? Each possibility is strange in its own way. Clairvoyance suggests information may arrive as sudden inner seeing. A person closes their eyes, and an image appears with unusual force. It may be a room they have never entered, a face they do not recognize, or an event unfolding at a distance. Unlike ordinary imagination, the vision often feels received rather than invented. Some clairvoyants describe flashes that last only seconds. Others report scenes that develop like a silent film. Skeptics argue that mental imagery is powerful and easily mistaken for external information. The brain can build convincing pictures from memory, expectation, and guesswork. Yet certain accounts become intriguing when the image includes a verifiable detail. A missing object appears near a specific color. A person is pictured beside a landmark. A hidden letter is sensed inside a drawer. Many such claims fail, but the memorable successes keep the mystery alive. The question is whether the mind can see only what the eyes have shown it, or whether sight has a hidden inward form. Clairsentience frames psychic knowledge as a feeling in the body. Not all claimed psychic information arrives as words or pictures. Sometimes it is described as a physical knowing. A person walks into a house and feels heaviness in the chest. They touch an object and sense unease in the stomach. They meet someone and experience a sudden warmth that feels like recognition. Skeptics can explain much of this through instinct, body language, memory, and environmental cues. A dark room can change posture. A tense person can make others tense. Yet clairsentience claims suggest the body may act like an antenna for information that has not reached thought. This makes the phenomenon unusually interesting because it places mystery in everyday sensation. The body may react before the mind understands. It may gather signals without naming them. Some people call this intuition. Others call it psychic perception. Either way, the body becomes part of the evidence, quietly reporting what reason has not yet caught. Precognition remains the most unsettling claim in psychic research. Many paranormal ideas challenge what we know, but foreknowledge challenges time itself. The claim is not merely that someone has a lucky guess. It is that information from a future event somehow reaches the present. Researchers have tested this with cards, images, dreams, and reaction studies, where the target is chosen after the person responds. Supporters say certain results hint that the mind may sense what has not yet happened. Critics argue that statistics, methods, and chance can create false patterns. The disagreement is intense because the implication is enormous. If the future can be sensed, then time may not be the simple flowing line we experience. Perhaps events leave traces backward. Perhaps the unconscious mind calculates possibilities so quickly that prediction feels paranormal. Or perhaps reality contains a deeper structure where past and future are less separate than they appear. This is why precognition feels so disturbing. It does not just ask what the mind can do. It asks what time is. Retrocognition imagines seeing the past without records or witnesses. This claim is quieter than prophecy, but it may be just as strange. A person enters an old place and suddenly seems to know what happened there before. They may describe clothing, voices, arguments, ceremonies, or ordinary lives from a vanished time. Sometimes the impression is triggered by touching an object. Sometimes it comes through a location itself. Skeptics note that people absorb historical clues from architecture, atmosphere, books, and local stories without realizing it. The mind can create a convincing past from small hints. Yet some reports include details later matched to obscure records, which gives the idea its pull. Retrocognition suggests that the past may not be gone in the way we assume. It may linger as information, waiting for a sensitive mind to notice it. Some people compare it to reading a hidden archive in the world. Others see it as imagination finding truth by accident. Both explanations are fascinating. Remote healing circles treat distance as less important than intention. In these gatherings, people focus on someone who may be miles away, often using a name, photograph, or simple description. The group may sit in silence, pray, visualize strength, or send what they call healing energy. The person receiving help might know about the session, or in some experiments, they might not. Reports of sudden calm, warmth, or improvement are common in believer communities. Skeptics argue that recovery has many causes, and that feelings can be shaped by expectation. They also warn against replacing medical care with unproven claims. Still, the idea continues because it expresses something deeply human. People want care to matter beyond physical presence. They want love, attention, and focused concern to reach across distance. If such circles have any effect at all, even a subtle one, then human connection may not be limited by location. The mystery is whether intention is only private feeling or something that can travel. Psi missing suggests skeptics may unconsciously suppress psychic results. In some experiments, certain participants score below chance instead of simply performing randomly. To believers, this is not failure. It may be a negative form of the same ability. The person might be using CI to avoid the correct answer without realizing it. This idea is controversial because it can sound like a way to protect the theory from defeat. If high scores are psychic and low scores are also psychic, critics ask what would count as evidence against the claim. Yet the pattern is intriguing in a psychological sense. People who strongly reject psychic ideas may approach tests with tension, resistance, or a desire not to confirm the possibility. That mindset could affect guesses, confidence, and attention. Some people take it further and suggest belief itself changes the direction of results. The concept turns skepticism into an active force. It asks whether the mind can block what it does not want to know. Sheep-goat effects may reveal belief shaping psychic test outcomes. Parapsychology sometimes uses sheep to mean believers and goats to mean skeptics. The strange claim is that believers often score better on psychic tasks, while skeptics may score worse. This does not prove the paranormal by itself, but it raises a fascinating question about attitude. In ordinary life, confidence affects performance. A relaxed person may notice more and guess more freely. A tense person may overthink. But psychic testing adds a stranger possibility. Maybe belief does not simply change behavior. Maybe it opens access to the effect itself. Critics argue that this can become circular. If believers do well, belief is praised. If skeptics do poorly, disbelief is blamed. Still, the pattern has become part of the field because it fits something many people sense. Openness may matter. Expectation may shape experience. The deeper mystery is whether reality responds differently to minds that allow the impossible, compared with minds that refuse it. Decline effects make psychic scores fade after early success. A test begins with promising results. The participant seems unusually accurate, and excitement grows. Then the scores drift downward until the effect almost disappears. This pattern has frustrated researchers for decades because it makes psychic ability look shy, unstable, or resistant to repetition. Skeptics see a familiar story. Early success may be luck, and later trials simply return to normal probability. Supporters suggest that boredom, pressure, fatigue, or overanalysis can weaken psi performance. The first attempt may carry freshness and curiosity. The later attempts may feel mechanical. That idea gives the phenomenon an almost living quality, as though it appears when invited, but fades when pinned down. The decline effect matters because science depends on repeatability. A power that weakens under scrutiny is difficult to prove. Yet it is also strangely consistent with human experience. Many subtle abilities work best before effort becomes self-conscious. Perhaps psi, if real, dislikes being forced. Displacement effects appear when impressions match the wrong target. In some psychic tests, a person's impressions do not match the chosen target, but they seem to match the target used just before or just after it. This odd pattern is called displacement, and it creates a very strange problem. A miss may look like a hidden hit, aimed at the wrong place in the sequence. Skeptics say this is exactly how loose interpretation can rescue failed results. With enough possible targets, some match will always appear. Supporters answer that displacement has shown up often enough to deserve attention. If psychic information is real, perhaps it does not arrive with labels attached. The mind may receive fragments without knowing when they belong. This would make psi less like reading a message and more like hearing echoes in a confusing hallway. The idea is fascinating because it suggests the signal may exist, but the human receiver may not know how to file it correctly. File draw problems complicate the story of psychic laboratory evidence. In any research field, successful studies are more likely to be published than failed ones. This creates a hidden problem. If many psychic experiments produce ordinary results and stay unpublished, the public record may look more impressive than the full reality. Critics argue that this has inflated claims across parapsychology. A few positive findings can shine brightly, while many silent failures remain unseen. Supporters acknowledge the issue, but say some analyses try to estimate how many missing studies would be needed to erase the effect. The debate may sound technical, but it matters deeply. Psychic research often depends on small statistical differences. If the unseen failures are numerous, the case weakens. If the positive pattern survives even after accounting for them, the mystery strengthens. The file draw problem reminds us that absence can be powerful. What is not shown may shape the story just as much as what appears in print. Fraud exposures forced researchers to design stricter tests. Psychic history includes sincere investigators, puzzling cases, and undeniable deception. Some performers used hidden information, sleight of hand, staged phenomena, or accomplices. Each exposure damaged trust, but it also pushed the field toward better controls. Dark seance rooms gave way to brighter observation. Informal tests became more careful. Researchers learned to seal targets, record procedures, and involve magicians who understood trickery. This is one reason the subject remains complicated. fraud does not prove every claim false. It does prove that desire can make people vulnerable. A convincing trick can feel like a miracle when the witness is hopeful or grieving. Yet stricter testing also creates a challenge for genuine claimants. If an effect vanishes whenever controls improve, skepticism grows. If it survives, interest deepens. The history of exposure is therefore not merely embarrassing. It is part of the search. Every discovered trick asks the remaining mystery to become sharper, cleaner, and harder to imitate. Cold reading shows how ordinary cues can feel supernatural. A skilled reader can gather information from clothing, age, expression, speech, and tiny reactions. They may offer broad statements, watch for a response, then narrow the message until it feels personal. To the sitter, the result can seem impossible. The reader appears to know hidden worries, family patterns, or private hopes. This method is important because it explains many psychic-style performances without requiring paranormal ability. It also shows how cooperative the human mind can be. People remember the hits, soften the misses, and help shape vague statements into meaning. Yet cold reading does not end the mystery. It raises a sharper question. After removing everything that can be explained by observation and psychology, does anything remain? Some people say yes. Others say the technique is powerful enough to account for nearly all impressive readings. Either way, understanding cold reading makes the strongest unexplained cases more interesting because it clears away the easy illusions. Hot reading reminds us that hidden research can imitate psychic power. In a hot reading, the reader already has information before the session begins. It may come from social media, ticket forms, conversation with staff, or previous contact with the sitter. When delivered as a revelation, the effect can be astonishing. A name, a workplace, or a family detail feels like proof of supernatural access. This is why modern psychic claims face a new problem. The world is full of searchable information. A few minutes online can produce facts that once seemed private. Skeptics use this point to challenge public demonstrations, especially when participants can be identified in advance. Believers answer that many readings happen without such opportunities, and that not every specific detail can be explained so easily. The lesson is still essential. Hidden research can mimic a miracle with remarkable force. It reminds us to separate emotional impact from evidence. The more perfect a revelation sounds, the more carefully its path must be examined. Yet some cases resist easy explanation even after careful checking. After fraud, coincidence, suggestion, and memory errors are considered, a small number of stories still seem to remain. They may not prove psychic phenomena, but they keep the door from closing completely. These are the cases with early records, independent witnesses, controlled conditions, or details that are difficult to explain by ordinary routes. Skeptics may still find weaknesses because human events are rarely perfectly sealed. Believers see these stubborn cases as the real heart of the mystery. They are not usually loud or theatrical. Often they are quiet, specific, and hard to classify. A person knows something they should not know. A test result leans the wrong way too often. A message appears with a detail that matters. The fascination comes from that residue after explanation. If most claims dissolve, but a few do not, then the subject becomes more intriguing rather than less. The unknown survives in the remaining fraction. The cross-correspondences involved messages split between distant mediums. In the early 20th century, a series of mediumistic writings appeared to contain fragments that only made sense when combined with writings from other mediums. The claim was extraordinary. No single medium received the whole message. Instead, Pieces appeared in different places, as if an intelligence were deliberately creating a puzzle. Supporters believed this was meant to prove communication from beyond death, because it reduced the chance that one person simply invented the material. Critics argued that the connections were complex, interpretive, and sometimes too dependent on educated guesswork. The writings often involved literary references, which made them impressive to some and suspiciously flexible to others. Still, the structure of the case remains fascinating. If someone wanted to demonstrate survival after death, a split message would be clever. It would require coordination beyond one mind. Whether genuine contact, shared culture, or pattern-making, the cross-correspondences remain one of spiritualism's most elaborate puzzles. Leonora Piper impressed investigators who expected to find simple trickery. This American medium became famous because some highly educated investigators studied her for years and did not easily dismiss her. During sittings, she produced names, personal details, and messages that seemed meaningful to those present. What made her case stand out was not theatrical spectacle. It was the patience of the investigation and the seriousness of some observers. They tried to control access to information and considered ordinary explanations. Skeptics still proposed possibilities such as subtle clues, prior knowledge, lucky statements, and generous interpretation by sitters. Those explanations cannot be ignored. Yet her case remains important because it challenged people who began with doubt. Some concluded that she had unusual powers. Others thought the evidence suggested something about the subconscious rather than the dead. Her legacy sits in that tension. Was she contacting surviving personalities, reading living minds, or revealing hidden capacities of her own? The mystery is strongest because none of those answers is small. Eileen Garrett's R101 case remains deeply disputed. After the British airship disaster in 1930, this medium gave a sitting in which a personality claiming to be connected with the aircraft spoke through her. Technical statements were reportedly made about the failure. Supporters later argued that some details appeared meaningful and possibly beyond her ordinary knowledge. Skeptics responded that the information was mixed, that aviation details may have been available, and that interpretation after the event can make statements seem more accurate than they were. The case is fascinating because it sits at the crossroads of tragedy, technology, and mediumship. It was not merely a message of comfort. It seemed to offer an explanation of a mechanical catastrophe. That made it unusually testable, but also unusually controversial. If the communication was genuine, it would suggest the dead could report on physical events with technical awareness. If not, it shows how a dramatic disaster can draw psychic narratives into its orbit. The Enfield case included claims that still divide witnesses. In a London home during the late 1970s, a family reported knocking, moving objects, strange voices, and disturbances centered around young girls. Investigators, journalists, and neighbors became part of the story, which quickly grew into one of Britain's most famous poltergeist cases. Some witnesses believed they saw events that could not be easily faked. Others suspected pranks, exaggeration, or the pressure of attention on children living inside a media storm. The case remains compelling because it contains both strong claims and obvious complications. There were moments that looked suspicious. There were also reports that troubled people who expected an ordinary explanation. That mixture makes the case hard to file away. It may show how stress, childhood, belief, and possible paranormal activity can become tangled in one house. For believers, Enfield suggests a real force broke through. The skeptics, it shows how a haunting can grow from human drama and expectation. The Battersea poltergeist produced messages through household disturbances. In the 1950s and 60s, a London family reported years of strange events linked to an unseen presence they called Donald. The case included knocks, moving objects, written messages, and odd incidents that seem to form a personality over time. What makes the story unusual is its length. Many poltergeist cases flare quickly and fade. This one was said to continue in waves, leaving the family caught between fear, frustration, and grim familiarity. Skeptics point to possible trickery, family dynamics, and the way long-running stories can accumulate uncertain details. Yet the reported messages give the case a distinctive flavor. The presence seemed less like a simple force and more like a troublesome character. Some people wonder whether a living mind in the house created the effects unconsciously. Others imagine an external entity feeding on attention. The mystery asks whether repeated disturbances can become a relationship, even when nobody understands who is on the other side. Borley Rectory became famous as England's most haunted house. This Victorian building gained a reputation for apparitions, footsteps, bell ringing, and messages that seemed to appear on walls. Its fame grew through investigations and dramatic reporting, especially in the early 20th century. The story had everything a haunted house legend needs: a lonely rectory, a long history, repeated witnesses, and a sense that the place itself was restless. Skeptics later challenged many claims and argued that exaggeration, faulty observation, and publicity played major roles. Some accusations of fraud also damaged the case. Yet Borley remains unforgettable because it helped define what a classic English haunting sounds like in the public mind. It became less a single investigation and more a national ghost story. People still debate whether anything genuine happened there beneath the layers of legend. Perhaps the house was haunted. Perhaps the story haunted the house. Either way, Borley shows how place, rumor, and investigation can create a mystery that outlives the building. The Winchester Mystery House inspires theories about spirits and guilt. In California stands a mansion famous for odd staircases, unexpected doors, and a design that seems to wander without ordinary logic. The popular legend says Sarah Winchester kept building because she feared spirits connected to the family fortune. Some versions claim she received guidance through seances and constructed the house to appease or confuse the dead. Historians have questioned many details of that story, and practical reasons for the building choices may have been overlooked. Earthquake damage, changing plans, wealth, and personal grief could explain much of the strangeness. Yet the legend remains powerful because the house feels like a physical expression of unresolved fear. It invites people to ask whether architecture can become a private ritual. Was it a grieving woman's eccentric project, a misunderstood construction history, or a mansion shaped by spiritual anxiety? The mystery endures because the building itself seems to ask questions without giving a straight answer. Ancient oracles blurred prophecy, politics, and altered states of mind. In the ancient world, rulers and ordinary people sometimes sought guidance from figures believed to speak for divine forces. These consultations could influence wars, journeys, marriages, and public decisions. The oracle was not just a fortune teller. It could function as a political force, a spiritual authority, and a psychological mirror for the questioner. Messages were often ambiguous, which made them powerful and dangerous. A prophecy could be interpreted one way before an event and another way afterward. Skeptics see this ambiguity as a tool that protected the oracle from being wrong. Believers suggest that truth from beyond human understanding may arrive in symbolic form. The altered state of the oracle adds another layer. Was the voice produced by ritual, training, trance, or genuine contact with something unseen? Ancient oracles remind us that psychic claims are not modern entertainment. They once stood near the center of civilization's biggest decisions. The Delphi oracle may have combined ritual with mysterious environmental effects. At Delphi, the priestess known as the Pythia delivered messages that shaped Greek history. She sat in a sacred setting, entered an altered state, and spoke words interpreted by priests. Ancient writers described unusual vapors, and modern debates have explored whether geological conditions could have contributed to trance. Some researchers have suggested that gases from faults beneath the temple may have affected consciousness. Others argue the evidence is uncertain and that ritual expectation alone could explain much of the experience. What makes Delphi so compelling is the blend of environment and belief. The place was not merely a stage. It may have been a carefully chosen site where landscape, ceremony, and psychology worked together. To a believer, the god spoke through the priestess. To a skeptic, human culture created authority through atmosphere and interpretation. A third possibility is more intriguing. Perhaps altered states can open forms of perception that ordinary waking life keeps closed. Shamans described spirit journeys long before modern psychic language existed. Long before laboratory tests and paranormal terminology, healers in many cultures entered trance to seek knowledge beyond ordinary senses. They might travel inward to find the cause of illness, ask guidance from spirits, or recover information needed by the community. These journeys were not treated as entertainment. They were woven into survival, healing, and meaning. Modern observers often explain them through rhythm, fasting, plants, meditation, or intense suggestion. Those factors can certainly change consciousness. Yet the reports are fascinating because shamans often describe structured worlds, helpers, tests, and messages that feel consistent within their traditions. Some people see this as symbolic psychology. Others believe the practitioner genuinely enters another layer of reality. The mystery is ancient and still alive. Are these journeys maps of the unconscious, encounters with non-human intelligences, or cultural stories made vivid by trance? Whatever the answer, psychic exploration did not begin with modern experiments. It began around the oldest fires. Indigenous traditions often treat dreams as guidance rather than fantasy. In many communities, dreams are not dismissed as random images from a sleeping brain. They may be discussed, honored, and considered meaningful for daily life. A dream might guide a hunt, warn of danger, reveal a name, or offer insight into a relationship. Outsiders sometimes misunderstand this as superstition, but the deeper idea is more subtle. Dreams are treated as part of the total information available to a person. They may include memory, intuition, spiritual contact, and emotional truth. Modern psychology also recognizes that dreams can process experience, although it may not accept supernatural interpretation. The difference lies in how much authority the dream is given. In some traditions, the dream is not a private accident. It is a message that belongs within a wider web of relationships. This view makes psychic phenomena feel less like rare powers and more like neglected forms of attention that modern life has trained itself to ignore. Monks have reported mind-to-mind transmission during deep practice. Accounts from contemplative traditions sometimes describe knowledge passing between teacher and student without spoken words. The master may seem to answer a question before it is asked. A student may receive a sudden understanding during meditation that feels shared rather than individually invented. Skeptics point to intense training, careful observation, and the close relationships formed in disciplined communities. A teacher may read posture and mood with extraordinary skill. A student may anticipate the teacher's response through years of practice. Yet practitioners often describe something beyond ordinary inference. They speak of stillness allowing thought to become less private, as though the barrier between minds grows thinner. The idea is fascinating because it places telepathy inside discipline rather than spectacle. No cards, no stage, no dramatic claim. Just long practice and focused awareness. If mind-to-mind contact exists, perhaps it appears most clearly when ordinary mental noise has been trained into silence. Modern brain scanning has not ended the mystery of consciousness. Technology can show which regions of the brain become active during perception, memory, emotion, and decision-making. This has transformed neuroscience, but it has not solved the deepest question. How does physical activity become experience? Why does matter produce the feeling of being someone? Psychic phenomena become especially fascinating against this background. If consciousness itself is not fully understood, then unusual claims about consciousness cannot be dismissed as easily as some people assume. Skeptics are right to demand evidence, but believers are also right that the mind remains partly unexplained. Brain scans can map correlations, yet they do not tell us why awareness exists at all. Some people see the brain as the creator of consciousness. Others imagine it as a receiver, filter, or translator of something broader. The mystery matters because every psychic claim depends on what mind really is. Until consciousness is fully explained, the door to stranger possibilities remains slightly open. Psychic phenomena may be the oldest mystery inside the human mind. Before instruments, universities, or official theories, people noticed strange moments of knowing. They dreamed of events, sensed danger, heard inner warnings, and felt connected to the dead. Some experiences were probably coincidence. Some were shaped by culture. Some may have been misunderstood memory or instinct. Yet the pattern has never disappeared. It appears in ancient temples, family stories, laboratory rooms, police files, hospital beds, and private dreams. That persistence is what makes the subject so compelling. Psychic phenomena are not one mystery. They are a whole family of questions about time, distance, death, identity, and a hidden reach of awareness. The safest answer is that much remains unproven. The most exciting answer is that the human mind may be larger than its everyday habits suggest. Somewhere between those positions lies the reason people keep listening. We want to know whether the strange signal is real and whether it has been with us all along. And so, we come to the edge of tonight's journey. We began with the oldest and strangest question in psychic phenomena. Can the mind know more than it should? From there, we followed reports of warnings before danger, dreams that seemed to arrive too early, and moments when one person appeared to sense another across distance. We wandered through remote viewing rooms where people tried to describe hidden targets without ever seeing them. We stepped into laboratories where cards, dice, dream reports, and random machines were used to test claims that still refused to sit comfortably in one clear box. Some results seemed ordinary, some seemed weak, and a few, according to those who study them, seemed just strange enough to keep the door open. We also entered the world of mediums, seances, and whispered messages. We heard about knocks in dark rooms, voices on recordings, and families who believed they had received details no stranger should have known. We considered children who spoke of former lives, old houses that seemed to hold impressions, and stories of apparitions appearing at the very moment someone far away was leaving this world. Then, the mystery widened. We moved through claims of healing intention, shared emotion, and the possibility that belief itself may shape what people experience. We looked at ancient oracles, trance journeys, strange dreams, and the stubborn question of consciousness. Again and again, the same idea returned in different forms. Perhaps the mind is not as sealed off as it feels. Perhaps memory, emotion, and awareness reach farther than ordinary language can easily explain. And yet, not every mystery needs to be solved tonight. Some stories may be coincidence. Some may be misunderstanding. Some may be shaped by hope, fear, grief, or suggestion. But a few still linger in the mind, like a light left on in a distant window. They do not demand belief. They simply ask to be noticed. That is often the real power of these mysteries. They do not always give us answers. They remind us that life still contains locked doors. They remind us that human experience is wider than the neat explanations we use to get through the day. And they invite us to wonder, softly, whether there are hidden currents moving beneath ordinary life. So now, let those questions rest. You do not need to decide what is real tonight. You do not need to weigh every story or solve every claim. Let the remote viewers close their notebooks. Let the old seance rooms fall silent. Let the dream messages fade back into sleep. Let the houses, the voices, and the strange remembered lives drift away into the background. All that remains now is the room around you. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw loosen. Let your hands rest. Notice the weight of your body held safely where you are. Let your breathing find its own calm rhythm. There is nothing to chase now, nothing to prove, nothing more that needs your attention. The mysteries can wait. If you enjoyed this curious journey, a like, a subscription, or a thought below is always appreciated. It helps more sleepy souls find their way here. And if you are somehow still awake, there should be another mystery waiting on the screen now, ready to continue the journey whenever you are. But for now, allow the day to fall away. Let the mind stop reaching. Let the questions become smaller. And let yourself drift toward rest. Sleep well, and good night.